There is a problem to be solved here when we are switching from one node to the other, and the fact is that multiple requests can be thrown in parallel when we switch from one node to the other. This is not very visible for the quick requests, which are the ones which throws the error. So we can do like that. We wouldn't notice much of a problem. But when we select a node which fires a costly request like this one, we see that it stays in pending for a while. So what happens if we switch from one to the other? Boom, 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 boom. A lot of pending requests are now queued, and it doesn't make much sense to fire them all. And also the interface wouldn't be in sync. It would be very confusing to know what is going on, who is loading what. So I was thinking about adding a simple lock system that when we select one of these nodes, all the others would be unselectable until the request is finished. So we avoid this kind of crazy behavior. So let's do it. Here, device context, we can add a variable called loading devices, which should be set to false. Then we also have to export it at the end. And then we define it in the interface as a Boolean, and the context, the initial value would be false. Okay, so how we're going to use it? We're going to use it here inside the use effect where we are loading the data of the devices. And essentially, we are setting this to true before performing the call. We'll say, hey, we are loading the device. And then similar to what we did before, probably the syntax could be simplified, but for now, let's leave it. And we set to false when it's finished. So what's the difference between this Boolean and the other? This one is specific to loading the devices, okay? While this one is global. So the global one is kind of more like a generic visualizing flag for all the loading activity. But this one is specific to loading the nodes. So we are going to use this one as well for other purposes, like for displaying the loading dot 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 text. But for now, let's save it. We prepare this little flag here. Let's use it in the ring node itself. So in the ring node, we are going to import it, import the device context and loading devices, and then on the on mouse enter, we're going to check if the devices are loading, and that's it. So let's save it, see how this is going to work. Let's take a few nodes. Okay, now I'll try to switch from one node to the other. Boom, and it's not selecting the other one. So just one call has been performed, and you can see that the yellow circle remains on the first one I've selected. Let's do it again here. Boom. And now I try to select the others. So it's not selecting because the call is in progress. So wonderful. Just a few lines of codes hugely improve the interface and also the experience, I'd say, but the performances as well, because we're not performing a crazy amount of code. You can see I'm switching, but the first one stayed locked. So I'd say that this is a good improvement and a quick victory. Next step would be to use this flag that we created to display something like the loading here. For example, we can say list of device loading, because as you can see, if I load one, it should be displaying loading and clear the existing list, right? Okay, let's do it. So let's use it. Let's use this flag as well here. We pull from the device list the loading devices information. If it's loading, then we print loading, right? Otherwise, we essentially have no devices if it's empty, or we print a list. So let's save it. What should happen now when we switch from one to the other? Like, let's switch to the green one. You guys see it's loading and it's locked until the request is finished, essentially, and then we get the list. So awesome. This works. There's a little bit of a glitch I see here, but it's way better than before. So we are notifying the user that something is happening in this part. It looks like the next step would be to clear the list. For example, when I move to another node here, the list should be emptied. So let's do that as well. Let's open the devices context and try to set to fix that behavior. And what we're going to do when the selected node happens, remember this use effect, we're going to set the devices to an empty array again in this way. So if we have something loaded here previously and we are switching the node, we clear the list, and also we should clean any selected devices that were there. So we're kind of resetting. So these two lines, set selected device undefined and set Wi-Fi device to empty array. So let's save it, see what happens. We should see a better behavior. So we go here, we have loading. Now we wait for the list to be loaded, boom. Okay, we select some device and then we switch to the other and boom. This is cleared and this is cleared, awesome. We don't see any weird glitches anymore. And now we select this one, which is the green, our Wi-Fi. It's loading, it's locked, perfect, look at that. Yes, this is a very good improvement. I'd say it's almost working completely. So to recap, we fixed a whole bunch of stuff, the multiple requests, switching from one node to the other, clearing the list. High five.